Well, hi, it's Susan at Seaside Stitches. Sorry, I'm a bit... Never mind, it doesn't matter, I'm fine. I'm here again in my turquoise 2247 Simplicity, and I just really love this dress. We've just been out to Lytham, and just for a quick look round and a brew, I'm putting this back on just because I'd rather put it back on. Okay, so I just wanted to do a quick catch up with Me Made May. Now I want to apologise because I can't just remember the person who started Me Made May, Zoe Sews or something. I will put it down below when I'm editing to thank her, because this is an amazing challenge. I haven't done the thing where you wear something me made and take a photo of it and post it and talk about that make. That's not how I work really. So it doesn't work for me, that. It's kind of, I'm not always in a frame of mind to have my hair done and my makeup on, and if I'm going to be coming on here, I'd like to look something like my best. So what have I been doing? So I haven't done, I think I mentioned in my last video that I haven't done the strictly kind of ideas that usually are taken up with Me Made Me. I do apologise, I have a little twitch in this eye, so if it looks like I'm doing a bit of this, it's just I've got a twitch. And so what I did was I followed Sarah from My Handmade Wardrobe on Instagram, following the hashtag Sew Your Own Style 24, and I have got so much out of that, and I can't thank her enough, and I have thanked her. But I've managed to go through my wardrobe and do a wardrobe audit. And at first I was like, why would I need to do a wardrobe audit? I don't have that many clothes. And I know exactly what I have. And then I found this drawer. In my wardrobe, I have 4 drawers. I know what's in all of them, except that I had forgotten that in the second one down, I had quite a few ready-made t-shirts and some little shrug things and things that I haven't worn for a long time, and it was really good going through them and what do I need, and most of those are plain. And I think that's what I'll just talk about just briefly. My ready-made wardrobe is mostly ready-made. Well, it's ready-made anyway, ready to wear, whatever it is. My previously bought wardrobe staples are mostly plain, and they consist of kind of more or less acrylic polo necks, rib knit polo necks from Marks and Sparks or from BHS when it was still alive. Yes, I've got some from there, possibly Next, and wherever else I've got them from. I've got a couple from Roman, and I just have them in different colours, in colour order in my wardrobe. I might put a snap in of just what that looks like. It doesn't really matter. It's just I like to order my things. Normally, my clothes are in order of colour. So I've got all the purples, I've got all the whatever colour they are together with whatever they are. That's the tops. So, but because I have so many polo neck jumpers, I keep all the polo necks together and then they are in colour. So this is just my way of dealing with it. And there's been this idea that if you've not worn something, or if you've worn it, put it back with the hanger the other way. I would go absolutely spare if some of my hangers were the wrong way around. I go mad if some are not all facing the wrong way, not all facing with the fronts that way or the fronts that way, depending on which wardrobe I'm using. I couldn't cope at all with a coat hanger that's coming towards me. That is, no, and that's not just OCD, that's just sense. Why would I do that? Nah, that's not my thing at all. If I've worn it downstairs with my wardrobe with most of my ready-made, my me-made dresses in, when I take one off, I put it back at the right-hand side. I've not got that order with those. As long as they all face, front faces that way. I don't have them back to front. I don't know what that would be. When I pick it out of the wardrobe, I want to see the front of it. And that's what I do. I do that. That's the front of it. I don't want to see that it's the wrong way around and that's the back of it. Oh, no. So those are things that I've known for years. Doesn't really matter. But now when I take one off and I put it back in the wardrobe, because I don't wear them for long. I don't, you know, I wear a me made if I'm going to be either working with someone I can wear a me made every day of the week if I want to, but usually I wear a jumper underneath it, or a long sleeve top underneath it, or a t-shirt under it. So in terms of perspiration or anything, they're not always wanting washing. And I'm, again, this kind of frugal and also sensible. There is no point in just keep washing things just because you've had them on for 2.5 hours. So I would take that off and check it's okay. I've not got toothpaste down it or some soup down the front or something. And I'd hang it at this end now. So if my wardrobe is that way around, I would hang it there. And then I know what I've just worn and whether I'm picking that out again or not, or whether I'm looking at further down. I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense to me. And that's been helping me realise that, am I wearing the things that are in the middle? How many things at this end are the constant things that I wear? And quite often I've got like 4 kind of just go-to dresses that I wear more or less on, on rotation. Anyway, what I found out, not to do with anything of that, but I found out that, and I managed to give away my final 3 pairs of trousers. I've mentioned that in my previous vlog, and I don't need to go into that again, but that was quite a big thing for me to do. And also I passed on 11 of my skirts to 3 dresses. I've now since added 2 more dresses. These are ready to wear things, and a lot of them I didn't choose from a shop and make a style out of them. I got them because they just happened to be available in my size in a charity shop, and then I made something with them with my other accessories or my other jumpers or my plain whatever. So the other thing, apart from the ready-made ribbed polo necks, sorry, it's just distracting me a bit, I have long sleeve tees, which again were mostly Marks and Sparks and all in different plain colours, and they team with other things, and I used to wear those under pattern dresses, not necessarily the ones I've made, but before I was sewing, that was my wardrobe really. But I like to wear 3 things. So I like, if I'm wearing a skirt and a jumper and a long sleeve tee or a blouse, I like to team that with a third thing that ties them together or contrasts totally. So that's one of the things that I've not been doing as much because I've been wearing dresses. So in getting rid of 11 of my skirts, it has allowed me, and more, there are more to go, but it has allowed me to look at the skirts that I've been making, which I've not finished one yet, but I'm still working on, a purple cord, a purple baby cord that started off as a Camden skirt, which I don't quite like that outward bit. It's more than A-line, and I don't like that really. And so I amended that and drafted another shaped pattern to go with that, even though it was mostly made. And I'm pleased with the fit I've got now. That's on some video somewhere, just a moment's kind of thought about it or a sharing of it. And that still has to be finished. And I've not been finishing things because my weight has fluctuated, because if you know me, you'll know that I've been on this regime, medically advised regime, to sort out my digestive issues a little bit better, and in removing certain things from my usual eating plans, then usual way of eating, then I've lost some weight. So I've been hesitant to just kind of take everything in, because as I bring back other things back into my regime, I'm trying not to say diet because I'm not on a slimming diet, but on my normal diet, then if I start to go up again, everything will be too small. So I've just been hanging fire a little bit. So there are 3 skirts that are in progress, but my most proudest make, I feel, at the moment is a skirt that I've made that's absolutely completely unique. And when I wear it, when I was showing Alan the different stages of it coming together, he couldn't help but be a bit bemused. And you'll see why, I think, because it's not everybody's cup of tea. But I was gifted, well, at the Sewing Social, that's Christine at Gemini Stitcher, this Northwest Sewing Social, someone had gifted to the swaps table a panel which had, I shall pop a picture in of what the panel actually looked like, because now I have made a skirt from it. Now, the skirt I have made is the Sadie Skirt from Jayne at Dressmaker's Closet, and I have been going to make this for quite a while, but I happened on Karen at So Little Time. I just happened on her video of it again where she did the review of it, and I thought that is the skirt that I'm looking for, but I need it to make sure that it matches at the sides to this other skirt that I've now drafted for my version of the Camden skirt, if you like. And as I put the pieces together, and it's very similar as well to the yoke of the Florence skirt shape, and I wanted to make sure that's the shape I got. So this is my skirt. It is made with the tops of the trees showing, and the blossom and the grass and the shrubs and the fields, and what would have been below that are the closer view of lots of flowers, quite prominent, bright coloured flowers that tone in with this. Now, I still am going to use that fabric that has come off the bottom of this, and I will be making something that goes with this skirt. But at the moment, that isn't made. I'm not rushing to make it. I want to have a good think about it. And I love this skirt on me. And it is the first skirt I have made in 26 years that has got a waistband, or that I've completed in all that time, I think. So I made a skirt with a waistband. I ran it up quickly for my silver wedding. I've now been married 51 years. So it's obviously 26 years since, isn't it? So this fits me well. And because I have this thing of, I've mentioned before, I come in quite a lot at the waist. My waist measurement is 10 inches less than my hip measurement, which is kind of a standard hourglass kind of shape. But my hip bones, my pelvic girdle if you like, but my hip bones are quite prominent from that point where my waist stops. I then go out, I often mention it as if I go out like a shelf, which means if you get it to fit just at the top of your hips, you have a shallow bit where your waist is, and quite often the waistband doesn't, if I buy any ready-made or when I've made before that I remember, I will take that off now. The waist, you can usually put your fingers through, there's room in the waist because it doesn't fit to my waist because of anyway, it doesn't really matter, but this fits me and I love it. And I'm just so pleased with it. And it was one of the easiest makes. It was going to have a invisible zip. I went to a couple of places desperate to get a 9-inch invisible zip. I could only get an 8-inch, and I was worried that because it's coming up into the waistband, I wouldn't have enough for it to open out and get on over my hips, or enough room for me to put my arms through. So I did put a normal everyday zip in it, which I don't have a problem with putting in zips, but I've never used an invisible zip yet, so this was going to be my debut with an invisible zip. So I will put a picture in, but I've been waiting for the weather to get a little bit better to show you this outside, and also my green, have I moved the other one? Yes, the Pattern Emporium Take the Chance dress in the green garden fabric, which I'll just show you the fabric. Oh, I've got a piece of fabric here. So the Pattern Emporium dress that I've been making out of this, that I took, oh, that's upside down. I took the tiers of this to the sewing social that I went to last month, and in May, yeah, and I did all the gathers on that, ready to put it all together, and it's gone together great. And it's not, it just needs hemming and the sleeves putting in, so that's done more or less. So once I've got that done and it's got sunny and I can wear it outside and show you a picture of it, I can pop that in. So that's that. Yeah. So, oh, the other thing I did was the Florence skirt. Don't want to go into too much detail, but I did start the Florence skirt around the frugal time, because this was a free pattern to me, although it's not free anymore. So I also practiced doing this, putting a facing in. None of this is finished inside, so it hasn't been attached inside, and I haven't tidied up where the zip goes and the facing goes, but that fits me as well. Now I didn't mess up. I messed about with the Florence skirt pattern, in that I added an extra 4 inches here, because I didn't want it to be only down a little bit and then a flare from there, gathers from there. I was more emulating a black skirt that I've got with yellow flowers on, that I did wear in my So Yellow for Endo. More to get a little swish of this skirt, although I didn't make the skirt, I only made the top, but I just love the squish, the swish. And I was more emulating that and getting a frill to be more lower down and have it in as a midi, but I've decided that I'm going to whap this bit off when this is about 6 to 8 inches, maybe even less, so that it's just a cheeky frill on the bottom of a slight A-line skirt. Not exactly a pencil skirt, but it doesn't go out massively at the sides. And I'm really pleased with that. I don't like this fabric. I didn't like the fabric. It was from Lady McElroy direct, and I thought it was a much more vibrant purple. It isn't, and when it came, I wasn't happy with how big the pattern repeats were, how it was just more suited to a duvet cover to me. But I'm actually pleased in the pattern placements that I've got. Obviously I've not tried to match it, but I didn't want to have that as a target on my bum. So I've managed to do that and have this one kind of to the side. So that's in process, but I've no rush to finish it. I'm just mucking about really with working out what's my style, what I want to do moving forward, and also just to get some sense back in my mind. It's easy to get on the train of, I've said before, I don't generally do fabric hauls. It's not the way I live. It's not the way not the income that I have. It's not the way that feels sensible to me. So I tend to, if I'm really interested in a fabric and I can see how I could make it, what I could make with it, or it's just one of those that I really would like that before it disappears. And sometimes I do that, but I don't want to shop in the way that a lot of other people can and do want to do. So the way I work is slightly different to that, and I think I'm going to be more conscious of staying with that, or even making a lot less than I need to be continuing to make. So I thought in the next couple of weeks I will do a little stash, share my stash, because I'm not ashamed of what I've got, but it isn't what I've just been out and bought. All this is my stash. It will be kind of just showing you what is in my drawer in terms of woven, what is in my drawer that is or my cupboard that is in terms of jerseys, and possibly what plans I may have or not have, or I'm just questioning a lot more about why I've bought something and why do I think I'm going to need more clothes, because I've talked about this loads of times, because my lifestyle is not about needing to go to work. I see clients at home and I wear something appropriately smart and casual and friendly, but I don't dress in my scruffy gardening clothes. But my scruffy gardening clothes allow me to have something nice when I'm not gardening. Whereas if I wore these when I was gardening, they would be ruined. I don't want to do that. So anyway, I'm just going on now. And also we don't have foreign holidays. We've never been abroad together. We've never been abroad in the 53 years that I've known him. And we don't have that kind of lifestyle where we need to do that. Also, neither of us are sun seekers. Alan had very bad son's stroke when he was a teenager. I had a malignant melanoma in 1993, and wherever there is a bit of wood, I would find it and touch it. That I have been clear for 30 odd years and don't want to do anything to put myself at risk of that again, because that was shocking. So I'm very sensible in what I wear in the sun. I'm not uncovered and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really quite boring really as a vlogger, because I don't do all these things and all this experimenting with things and whatever. But I'm quite happy with what I'm doing. And I think what I wanted to do is also round up what May has been like for us anyway, because we've got some exciting news. We've got some kind of, the month started with me reminiscing about the going to the gathering with my sister, and that was lovely. And since then, Alan and I went back to Halifax to visit the Peace Hall and just have that sense of connectedness to it that I'd had when I'd had that visit. And then we came back over the tops and down by Rochdale, which is where I was born, and near Birch Hill, which is another reminiscing bit. And we stopped at what I call Oliver Flake, because it's called Hollingworth Lake, and the sun was out on the way back, and it was just beautiful, glinting on the water, and the greenery was great all around it. And it was just really nice to have that reminiscing, because Alan and I lived in Rochdale for 5 years once we first got married. I was brought up till I was eight or nine in Rochdale, and so we have that connection with Rochdale. And the Oliver Flake reference is that I had come back from being out with the riding school and came home and said that I'd been to Hollingworth Lake, and my little sister thought I'd said Oliver Flake, so it became, can we go to Oliver Flake? So it was always Oliver Flake. Anyway, that's a sort of nothingness. But I think our May we have tried to make our May quite meaningful in terms of locally meaningful, because I haven't been able to mention this properly before, because there's been other people I needed to inform first. But we are intending to move much closer, possibly in their garden, to our family, to our son and daughter-in-law and our grandchildren. And they very kindly said when they bought that house that the little phrase was, and an annex has been, and an annex could be considered. And that was the phrase that we'd used. And so we've not jumped on that, but we've had ongoing interactions about that, how that might work, how we could process that, progress that. Do we want to do that? Do they want us? It's quite a complicated thing. So because for us all to live in the same house wouldn't work at all. We as a couple have been on our own for a long, long time, and they as a unit of four with their two sons have been a unit for, I don't know, 12, 11, 9, 12 years, 13 years, whatever it is. We don't want to, we live at a different rhythm, we have different needs, we have all sorts of different ways of living. And while we love them very much and they love us very much, we don't want to put anything in the way of spoiling that. I'm sure you can understand what I'm saying if you're still with me and listening, because it's not about sewing, but well, it is, because if we're downsizing, which we are having to do and willing to do, then there is the possibility that I could have a kind of separate sewing studio. They have a Lego cabin, and we could have a sewing cabin, or Alan's art studio cabin. So there are things that we could do, that we could transport and transplant down there. So what we've been doing throughout May is having a really, really good, thoughtful clear out, a thoughtful declutter, which we started soon after Christmas really, but we now know how possible it can be. And we've had some recent talks, and we need to be looking at, because it was also, well, do we really want to do that? We like it here. We know Lancashire, we know Yorkshire, we know all around here. Everything's so simple. We've got all these memories of things and ease of knowing where you are. Whereas it's quite complex down there, and any of you who live kind of 20, 25 miles out of London, you'll know that it can be really kind of and people know where they're going and they know what lane they're going in, and they're in a hurry to get there. And it's a very different way of, and going to a supermarket, there are vast numbers of people who pile in when the supermarket is open, whereas here you've got slots where you know that there'll be nobody about really. That rarely happens down where they are. So anyway, we're excited about that, and we are continuing to, it's not just about decluttering, it is about really thoughtful process about, well, will we really need this going forward? Do we need this because we've always kept it? Do we need it because just in case? We've got to look more specifically about what we're getting rid of. And so when you realise you've still got 11 years worth of your self-employment records that you don't need that many of, you don't need that 11 years worth. So it's going back to sorting out all the paperwork. And my mum, we looked after my mum, I've mentioned before, and I took, even though she didn't come to live with us till 2018, my dad died in 2011, and I became her kind of power of attorney for finances and health and well-being. So I took her to, although both my sisters did help with this as well, I'm not saying it's just me, but I took her, because I was a nurse, I could speak the language and they listened a bit better. If they know, you know what they're talking about. Sometimes that had been my experience anyway. So I took her to medical appointments and surgical appointments and getting her eyes done and all these her cataracts done and stuff like that, and some minor, and never mind, it really doesn't matter. But I've got all her medical records in folders, and and I'm quite organised in that way. So I've got all her medical folders, I've got all her housing folders, I've got all sorts of things. Even before she came to me, when we cleared out our flat, then we had to bring everything with us to make anyway. So we've got those to go through. And I know this is not about sewing, but actually it kind of is, because it's about just giving an eye to, sewing is not all that I do. You know, Michelle at Sewing Bunny, she did a lovely view last time, the last one that I watched, and she was saying I may not be on for some time because I've also got other hobbies. Because I know she started going to choir, and she has a garden she wants to do, and she's got things that they're wanting to do up in the house. And we're the same. We're needing to update a few things and get on with painting a door that I started 7 years ago and I haven't continued, and things like that, and just doing all the catch-up jobs and all the snagging things, because we've got to have the house valued. So we want to live well and not in chaos. So I'm kind of minimizing my sewing output a little so that there is more time to do that, and also my vlogging output, because I need more time to do all the sorting, and also to be more clear about what I do need to keep in terms of sewing things. I mean, some of you know that I got an emergency overlocker, which I was going to do a gentle kind of vlog on, saying, well, you've met my little sister and here's my little brother, because it's a little brother, I don't know what it's called, 2104 DAV, which is my son's name, so that's not why I picked it. But I managed to mend or get my other one to work, so now I have two overlockers. Oh. And that was also quite weird for me, that I kind of broke my own rule of, we very, very rarely buy anything spontaneous in that kind of way. I mean, it was a 200 and something pound overlocker. Well, it was an almost 300 pound overlocker, which to us is a lot of money to be spending anyway. But I can't believe that I did buy that without doing what we normally do, which is weeks of research and looking up reviews and checking with people who has also had one of those, or what it's like, or having a demonstration, or all those things. And I bought it like that because I wanted to make sure I finished a jacket, which in the end I kind of abandoned and didn't bother finishing. And it really wasn't important that I finished it anyway. And because I got into that cycle of need and hurry and stress and determination, because the only pressure I was under was my own, but I was determined that I could do this jacket, and I can do the jacket, and it's not far from finished, but I've not gone back to it much because it's less relevant now. Not because I wanted it just for the gathering, but it's turned out to be something quite different than I thought I wanted. And that's been helpful because it's made me see sense about how, I don't know if there's a word of unsensible I was about doing this. And I don't want to get tripped up like that again. So I'm needing to take a big look at myself as well about what that was about, and how I managed to do that and get us into debt about that overlocker. And I'm not beating myself up. Please don't be kind of, oh, Susan, don't beat yourself up. I'm not beating myself up. I'm just saying sometimes sense goes out of the window when I'm trying to do something. I don't know. I don't want to say any more about that because just sense went out of the window, and it would have been absolutely fine if I'd have started working with it and it was absolutely joyful to work with. But it's been a pain in the backside because it doesn't like me. It's a little prim and prissy kind of, sits in the corner with its legs crossed and does little tiny stitching, and it's very neat and tidy and very kind of, well, I'm not going to do that today for you, I'm going to do this. Whereas my other one is like a wagon driver, and I just treat it like, get over there and get doing that, and it does it. And when it won't thread, my usual one doesn't thread, I give it a good telling off, I redo it all, and after about the 7th time, which I'm sure will be similar to you, it threads perfectly, its tension is perfect, I've not added any different tension or gauge or anything, it just works. And I'm not in a position to bash that. I don't bash any of them. While I've got this one, I've got one set up in green and I've got one set up in blue. Now I can't manage my sewing area as it is. So in a little tiny wherever we're going to be, I don't know how I'm going to be with it. So anyway, I'm just going blah, 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 and I'll have taken a lot of this out anyway. So what I wanted to do is thank you for watching my channel anytime you've ever watched it. Thank you ever so much. It is really, really appreciated. Thank you if you've ever liked, or if you're a subscriber, or if you have commented on my videos. Thank you ever so much. I really, really do appreciate it. And thank you if you're okay with me being so sporadic about, I thought I would be able to vlog every Friday or every other Friday or a Friday and a Tuesday, and that doesn't work for me anymore because life is complicated. And I really, really appreciate you. I'm not going anywhere in terms of I'm closing my channel down, because I did even think about that, but I'm not doing that. Whether I'll still call it Seaside Stitches because I won't be anywhere near the sea, I don't know yet. But it's not happened yet. So I've also made a decision that I'm retiring, and I managed to speak to one of my longest running clients at the moment, and we had a chat today that I will be retiring in December. So I'm quite happy to continue to work, and I spoke to my other a supervisee that I've worked with for a long time, that I'm happy if we move before Christmas, then I'm happy to work on Zoom, as many people have continued to do since COVID. I didn't do that in COVID, and some of the people I worked with didn't have a space that was private enough to work with a counsellor, you know, so it would have been an invasion of their privacy to have done so, for them to have fit in somewhere. Anyway, it really don't matter, blah blah blah. Yeah, so I've decided that. So I will be 71 in August, and I've run my practice down quite considerably, and I've also cancelled any directory listings that I've got, because I don't want to be taking on new clients. So that's kind of, lots of things have contributed to that. My friend passed away in August, right at the end of August, and I didn't want to be working with people about their grief while I had my own grief. And so there were things that have helped me just take steps away from the level of work that I was doing, the amount of work that I was doing, the amount of clients I was seeing, and just to kind of scale. To scale my practice down, and I could never imagine actually not working with anyone, because that feels really quite weird. But now it feels so much different, and a lot of this is because I started this clear out with Sarah from my Handmade wardrobe, and I'd like to thank Sarah so much. Thank you, Sarah. If this turns into a very lengthy Friday Sews, I'd like to also thank Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room, who put this hashtag together to be a resource for people who want to sew, who like to hear about sewing, who want to share their own sewing, and that we can all be a community together and link up possibly every Friday, or have an intention to link up on a Friday. So thank you, Jen. Thank you, Sarah. I just realised I forgot to thank someone else, Teresa at Lost My Thread. I have absolutely adored her video series about Me Made Me, and all her wardrobe audits, her sense of style, her sharing, her process of what Me Made Me has meant for her. And that has helped me tremendously in also looking at my style and what I want going forward. So I may not have made that clear, but yes, thank you ever so much, Teresa, and go over to her channel if you've not seen any of it, because it's been a really thoughtful sharing of what her process has been. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed, watched and shared my videos, and liked and commented. So thank you again, and happy sewing. It's Susan at Seaside Stitches signing off from whatever this is. Friday Sews, Thursday Sews, a week on Tuesday Sews. My family are rewilding, and I will blend in beautifully with their rewildness. Okay, I'll show you a photo of that with it on at some point.